What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chaotic Minds. As always, it is Winged,
And a midget.
and we got something a little special here today.
Different.
It is different. It's something that actually you and I have been talking about for a while.
Yeah.
Granted, we still haven't fulfilled our promise on reading those articles yet.
Yeah, I know. I just, between work and being back at other versions of my work
Yeah.
and like getting veins blown out to an extreme where I'm bruised and not comfortable. Yeah, it's been a week or so. Like, it's been the last couple weeks. It's been a pretty rough couple weeks.
Yeah.
Like,
And
I was in like day 19 or 20 of a migraine when I finally went to the hospital, and they're like, yeah, that's pretty bad.
yeah. And that's also, I did also want to apologize for us not doing a show last week. You weren't feeling good.
No, I was in no shape to
I,
do the show.
I don't think we really talked at all throughout that day.
No,
Because your head.
nope. I could not barely move my head without wanting to revisit the night before's dinner.
Yep. So what we're going to do today, in it being a different slash weird one, is we are going to be reading Reddit stories. More specifically from
Am
Am I the
I?
asshole? R slash
Yeah.
Am I the asshole? For those of you who don't know, r slash Am I the asshole is a Reddit theory. Is a Reddit
Thread.
thread where people will tell a story and they'll tell like their side of the story and leave it to the Reddit community, otherwise known as Redditors, on whether or not they could be considered an asshole for what they did, or if they are considered not the asshole due to how the story goes. Now there is one thing to this that I'm going to establish right now for those of you who are unaware or have not done this format before or seen other videos of something similar to this. OP is going to stand for original poster. That's the person who went ahead and actually posted the story.
Yes.
And then I'll be reading it off like normal. And then once we get done with the story, we'll discuss it. How's that sound?
Discuss it or just flat out give a quick opinion because
There
our
are some
brain is
stories.
fried.
There are some stories where it's very clearly and all that kind of stuff. But we will give our own judgment on whether or not we feel that this person, the original poster, is in fact an asshole or is not, and they are in the clear. So, are you ready for this first one?
Yes.
So the first one is titled, Am I the Asshole for Refusing to Designated Drive Anymore and Leaving 3 Drunk Friends Stranded?
On first glance, I would say yes. But let's hear this story.
All
I have a
right.
feeling there's a little more to it than that.
All right, so the story goes, I, female, have 3 friends from college, Maisie, Tom, and Neela. We're all in mid-30s now. We usually get together once a month to have dinner despite work and family obligations virtually during the global event. 6 months ago, I had to stand up to everyone about splitting the bill evenly because everyone else orders and eats appetizers and desserts, and everyone else drink copious amounts of alcohol each time or every time we get together. I typically eat a main, I guess like a main entree, a main meal, whatever, and drink water. I started checking menus in advance, not only bringing enough cash to cover my bill plus tip, and would forget my card at home, and eventually sternly told them that I was no longer willing to pay an additional $50 to $100 every time we went out to cover their appetizers, dinners, or appetizers, desserts, and drinking habits. Well, they all decided because I wasn't drinking anything but water, I should be the designated driver, which I initially agreed to because I was just happy that they eventually stopped arguing with me about splitting the bill. But at the time, I told them firmly that if any of them ever threw up in my car, that would be the end of it. Last month, Tom nearly threw up in my car. The only reason he didn't is because I pulled over and pulled him out of the car and onto the pavement instead. I sent a group text this morning stating that I was no longer going to designated drive, and everyone complained that Tom only almost threw up in my car. I again refused and told them that next month they either had to limit their drinking so they could drive or they had to find their own ride. Last weekend, I reminded everyone that I wasn't driving anyone home. No one limited their intake at all, and by the end of the night, they were too drunk to even handle paying the bill. I went up and asked for my bill separately, paid, and walked out without saying goodbye. Tom's wife had to have her mother, watch their two kids while she had to come down, cover the bills, and gave Maisie and Neela rides home, and Tom and Maisie both threw up in their car. I was getting hateful calls and texts all week telling me that I had to pay to have Tom's wife's car cleaned and pay his mother-in-law for watching the kids. Maisie and Neela have been calling me all sorts of names for abandoning them, but I snapped and that they were all three sheets to the wind even after being told last month that I wasn't driving them anymore. Tom eventually called to yell at me that if I didn't split the bill and I didn't designate a drive, then what use was I? I asked if that's how he treated his wife, Maisie, or Neela, if they were only allowed to be around if they were useful, because here I thought we were all just enjoying one another's company, since I certainly wasn't gaining anything useful from them, spending hundreds of dollars funding their eating and drinking habits, and then wasting my gas to drive their drunk asses home. I was blocked, and none of them will speak to me now, and I just need to know if I'm the asshole here. Edit. I used to drink heavily, too. I had to quit for an unrelated medical reason. So,
Definitely not the asshole.
I will agree with you on that.
Yeah, because there is no reason for that. You can't just expect and be entitled to somebody's car because they are choosing not to drink for health reasons or personal reasons.
Yeah, like the fact that they had to quit drinking and they used to drink and then they had to quit because of medical reasons, insert whatever that reason is, does not. And the only thing that they do is they eat their food and they eat their main course. They don't get any appetizers. And then they drink water. Meanwhile, everybody else is getting drunk. That doesn't, nowhere in there. Like if we went out with a couple friends of ours, right?
Yeah.
And we got appetizers and they didn't. And they didn't have any of our appetizers. And we just ate it. I wouldn't expect our friend to cover our appetizers.
No.
Same thing with drinking. If we were drinking and they weren't, I wouldn't expect my friend to cover, the cost of our drinks. Like whenever I go out, and I'm going out with by myself, meeting up with friends or whatnot, I'll have enough to cover me and a tip.
Yeah.
Because I'm expecting that they're going to be covering theirs. There's been a few times where I've went out to a lunch with my sister and she didn't bring her wallet. The only thing that she brought was her driver's license because she was driving, and I had to pay for both mine and hers.
Yeah.
Now, if I invite somebody out, like, hey, why don't you come with me and we'll go get breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever.
Like I did with my friend this morning.
Yeah, and like if I'm inviting somebody out, then yeah, that means that I have enough that I'm going to cover it. If they say, hey, I can handle mine, I'm not going to say no, but I'm going to remind them like, hey, I invited you out. I meant for this to be on me. And there have been a couple of friends who've been like, oh, okay then. And the next time we go out, they pay for it.
That's how it should be.
There have been other friends of mine who they're like, no, I understand that you invited me out, but I would feel bad, so I'm going to cover mine. And like that's how it should be.
Yeah.
When it comes to drinking, however, the fact that there are 4 people going out to have dinner and catch up and go over stuff.
Yeah.
Why didn't they set up like a rotating weekly schedule?
Because here's how that works. And this is something that I can say for certain, and you can probably say for certain.
Mm-hmm.
They set up a weekly rotating schedule, and then somebody's going to conveniently forget it was their week, and they're going to get completely plastered, and then where are you guys?
That is true. I can definitely see that. Like, I know that when I used to go and hang out with my buddy Tyler, we would go, out to a bar Friday and Saturday night. And one night would be my turn to be the designated driver, and then the next night would be his turn to be the designated driver. And while, like, the other person was a designated driver, like, if I was a designated driver, I'd have, like, a beer or two.
And then drink water.
And he would go ahead and get completely hammered. The next night, the opposite way would be, it'd be the opposite way. And that's just how we did things. But for people to sit there and be like, oh, you're drinking water? Oh, you're automatically designated the designated driver.
Yeah, no, that's not how this works.
That's messed up. Now, granted, they did say, like, yeah, I'll do that, but nobody throw up in my car. If the second that happens, no more.
It's done, yeah.
And while nobody actually did throw up in the car, it was only because of their quick thinking of, I'm going to pull over and get this person out.
Otherwise, they will throw up in my car.
Yeah. And then for them to go ahead and be like, well, we're going to keep drinking, even though this person told us and then reminded us that they're not going to be the designated driver, that's messed up. That's fucked. And then for them to go ahead and come at them again and say, oh, hey, by the way, you have to pay for my wife's car to be cleaned because I threw up in my wife's car.
Yeah, that's your own damn fault. No, that's not
how this works. You made the mess. You chose to be like that. You could have called a taxi. You could have gotten on a bus. You could have, the fact that it's your wife's car, which means that if that wife didn't have it prior to you two getting together, that means that y'all got it together. So it's not just your wife's car. It's your car as well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. No.
It's your own damn fault for drinking so much you're going to puke. Sorry.
And the other thing
makes no sense.
You have to pay my mother-in-law for having to watch my children.
Those are her grandkids. Suck it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do I expect family members to babysit somebody? Like, say one of our family members are out here. Yeah. And we wanted them to watch our kids. Would I expect them to do it for free? No. I'd offer, like, hey, I can get you some money, or I can pick you up a snack, or I can get you some beer, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like grandchildren, that feels different. Like if the wife and the mother-in-law really didn't have a good relationship, then sure, you as the husband should be paying your mother-in-law because your actions led to your wife having to come and pick you up and your friends from the bar. You need to pay her.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like you shouldn't, and that's part of that entitlement that I was talking about with you off podcast. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes people are so entitled and they think everybody owes them, all because of some perceived slight. Like this person's friends are perceiving a slight against him for not wanting to be her for not wanting to be the designated driver anymore because they almost puked in her car. I mean, if they weren't thinking and pulled over, they would have puked in their car. Let's face it.
And who knows if this person's like me, where we can't stand the smell of puke.
I'd be like, burn it down.
I physically, like, I have such an adverse reaction to it that, like, I smell puke, I start getting
nauseous. Yep. I know.
I can't even clean out a refrigerator. Like, and my parents can attest to this. I can't clean out a refrigerator that has leftovers in there that have gone bad because I start dry heaving.
Yeah. And that's interesting when it's your turn to clean out the refrigerator and you're like, nope, there's something in here.
Yep.
He can smell it as soon as he opens the door.
Uh-huh. So, overall, the community voted not the asshole, and then there's a comment with it. Not the asshole, But they stopped being your friends a long time ago. Time to wake up to reality.
Exactly.
So I will agree with that.
There are some people that are just not your friends, buddy.
Yeah, like if you are sitting there and causing, like, if the OP was like, you know what, let's go out and drink, and then like, oh, by the way, I'm not being your designated driver,
Then he would be
the asshole.
Then they would be the asshole.
If they all four of them were drinking and it was OP's turn to be the designated driver and they decided, no, I'm not doing this, then they would be the asshole. In that instance, no, not the asshole. You're in the clear.
Yeah.
Good job for standing up for yourself and standing up for what you believe is right. And, you know, the fact that you had the stones, so to speak, to say, hey, I'm not doing this anymore. You need to find somebody else.
Yeah.
And I'm not paying for anything. That's the other thing. Like, not a single one of them was willing to drop money for OP to give them a ride home. Like, when I was drinking with friends of mine and I wasn't designated driver,
pitching in for gas money.
Yeah, you give them like $5, and that was
pitching in for gas money is better than paying for an Uber now. Fuck.
Well, like back when I was doing this, when I was like in my 20s,
there was no Uber or Lyft. I know
there wasn't Uber and Lyft, but like $5 was like a quarter of a tank of gas.
Yeah.
Back at least where I lived at. So like 4 people, 3 of them pitching just $5. That's $15. That's like almost a full tank.
Yeah.
Like, come on. It's not that.
It's not that difficult.
It's not that difficult to go ahead and be like, you know what, you're driving my ass home. I'm gonna give you some money. You know.
Yeah.
Just pitch in for gas. And then if you do end up getting sick, you better be helping clean it.
I'd be having some cleaner, some paper towels, and gloves.
It's just
to give them.
All right, so here's the second story. Am I the asshole if I refuse to attend my sister's wedding?
I have opinions on things like this, so yeah, nah, I'm good.
All right, so I, 20 female, am thinking about not going to my sister's 23 female wedding. Here's the reason. She is an egotist, self-centered narcissist, and has made my life worse for as long as I can remember. She has been bad to many people as well, including my whole family, but it has always seemed to me that she's had it out for me specifically. I don't know why she's behaving like this towards me. I can only speculate that it might be jealousy because I've been the academically successful one. I've always tried coexisting with her, only interacting when necessary, but it didn't go too well. I'll give you a few examples. Point number 1, when we still lived with our parents, I refused to let her use my printer because she yelled and insulted me an hour prior, and when I did so, she lost it and threw a hot water bottle at me. Point number 2, she called me and my whole family the C word over a Wi-Fi router. Number 3, she called my mom the C word and told her to shut the F up, which is not normal in our family, not even saying shut your mouth is. After she refused to babysit her 2 bulldogs for over a week because 1, it stressed out our own dog, and 2, she has to work and take care of my little sister and the household as well. Mind you, she had babysitted the dogs before for a day or 2, but over a week, because my sister wants to go on vacation with her boyfriend and the responsibility to care for her dogs is in the way now, is too much. And point number 4, in the most recent context, she did an apprenticeship as a mechanic. She heard something I said which could indicate that I was planning on being drunk and stuff. Actually, I was talking about Pokemon Go, LMAO, I rarely drink. And instead of asking me then and there, she went to my mom a week later and asked her if I had a problem with drinking. My mom, who is very sensible in regards to drinking because of a traumatic experience, called me and asked me about it. I said no and asked where my sister got that from, and she said she didn't know. So I texted her about it, and she immediately called me disrespectful, again insulted my personality and everything about me, pulled the "you were uninvited to my wedding" card. They got engaged a week prior. And lastly told me I should be careful that nothing is going to happen to me in my car, implying harming me indirectly by sabotaging my car, after which she blocked me. Then she gave my mom an invitation for me and my boyfriend, still blocked me though. I've had enough and I want to make a clear cut and not have her in my life anymore. I feel as if it'll never stop if I don't cut her out now, and it will always go back and forth with this. She never apologizes, not to me, not to my mom, or anyone else. She just pretends that everything is back to normal, and I don't want it to happen. Everyone is telling me they understand, but I should go to keep the family peace. Not sure what to do. Would I be the asshole?
Not no, but hell no.
Holy shit.
That was a lot to unpack.
Holy shit.
I can say with 100% confidence, no, not the asshole.
Hell no, you ain't the asshole for that. Holy shit. Like, fucking really?
Yeah.
Really? Like, oh my God. Like, I could get... I've had people in my life before that were egotistical or a narcissist, or they had the "it's all about me" mentality.
Yeah.
You know, I've had people before, treat me like crap and then act like nothing has ever happened before. But holy shit, they weren't friends, or they weren't family.
Yeah.
Well,
I've had family treat me like that.
I have had family treat me like that, but I've quickly cut them out because I don't need toxic behavior in my life.
Yeah.
But holy shit. How are you going to threaten your sister? Like, indirectly, "oh, I hope nothing happens to you while you're driving your car." Like,
like the fuck?
Really? Go to the fucking police.
Yeah.
Don't just go to the hospital. Don't just go to the fucking wedding. Don't go to that. Go to the police about it.
Yeah,
if you
because
still
that's
have the text messages, go to the police. She threatened your life. Like, but it wasn't really a threat. Bitch, you are saying that you're going to fuck with my vehicle knowing your profession.
Yeah,
No.
that's a little McFucked. Sorry. Yeah, no,
Oh my
I
God.
would. You have the right to cut toxic people out of your life, even if they are family, just so you are aware.
Like, and going back through some of the other stuff, like getting mad at somebody because they won't let you on the Wi-Fi. What?
Bitch, you don't help with nothing.
Getting mad because they won't let you use your printer.
Yeah, that's a
Getting
stupid
mad
thing.
because you're asking someone to watch your dogs for a week because you want to go on vacation, knowing that it causes stress to the animals that have been there prior.
It's called a kennel. They are professionals, and if you are that desperate to go on vacation, you can obviously afford somebody to watch your dogs.
Like, holy shit. Oh my God.
Or, I don't know, some people actually take their dogs on vacation with them.
Seriously. Like,
No. We've had experiences with these.
And then to go ahead and be like, "oh, hey, by the way, you're not invited to my wedding." Okay, cool. And
Whatever.
then, "oh, hey, Mom, I need you to give this to her.
I wouldn't trust that invitation.
I need you to give this invitation to her for me."
I wouldn't trust that
And
invitation.
Still has her blocked.
I seriously would not trust that invitation.
I wouldn't trust anything that came out of that woman's mouth.
Yeah, no.
Like, holy shit. No, you need, at that point, if any of you who are listening are dealing with something similar, hopefully none of you are dealing with this exact same problem. But if any of you are dealing with something similar, do not be afraid to cut ties.
Yeah.
Because you need to
Protect your personal self.
protect your mental health.
Yeah.
Like, first and foremost,
Run
like, holy shit.
away.
Like, I don't understand this at all. So,
I don't understand it at all either. And the thing is like, I don't understand people that can treat normal people like this, let alone family. Like, I really don't get it. And you're gonna sit there and threaten your family?
and then to go ahead and act like, oh, nothing, nothing happened. Act like it
Yeah.
never happened before. Like,
And then want to send me an invitation to the wedding that I'm not invited to, and then one that I'm definitely not interested in going to now.
oh, I would know.
Yeah,
There,
no.
there
How
ain't no
about
way
no?
in hell that I am crossing that threshold to celebrate
Yeah.
your wedding. No. You can fuck the right off with that one.
And see, and here's the thing. Here's where I'm going to play a little bit of a devil's advocate, which is usually your job, so it's kind of weird. What if it's the fiance that wants the sibling there?
I mean,
Because I know, like, in this instance, it doesn't mention that the fiance, boyfriend, whatever, significant other is part of the problem. And I know there are a couple.
well, from what it sounds like, the fiance isn't a part of the problem. It sounds to me like this has been an ongoing thing since they were kids.
Yeah. So, I
And
mean,
it all depends. It seems like her sister is the older one. The OP, the sister is the older one. The OP is the younger one by I think like 7 years. Let me double check this.
yeah.
By 3 years. So, like, I'm the oldest of 5. You know, it's and how it goes is me, my stepbrother, and my sister are like a year apart each. Like, I'm older than my stepbrother by a year. My stepbrother is older than my sister by a year. You know, so it's that, and then I have my younger 2 brothers, which are like they were born relatively close as well. Like, I'm older than my youngest brother by 10 years. You know, and I'm older than my other brother by like 8.
Yeah.
You know, so my parents always, made the joke of it's like raising a set of triplets and then a set of twins.
Yeah.
So, like, I can understand you're the older sibling, and now you have a younger sibling there who is taking up attention and taking up time and taking up all of this. Like, there is that sense of jealousy, but that could be what it is when it comes to how this sister is treating her younger sister. Treating the OP. But, like, to this extent, though.
Yeah, and that's the thing
there's something else.
There's something else going on there, and we don't have everything. But at the same time, you just you wonder if there was something on the back end where the fiance is the one that wanted the sibling there because they know that if the sibling isn't there, the sibling whose wedding it is going to feel like absolute garbage, even though they're the one that caused it.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to miss their sibling there. And that's something that the OP, doesn't want to go to the wedding, but they get invited. What if it's the fiance that wants the person there so that way their sibling doesn't feel like crap in the long run? Where is it protecting their sibling, their older sister, instead of protecting their mental health?
Yeah.
And it's I understand the fiance wanting to protect their other half and whatnot, but maybe they don't have the whole story. Maybe they don't know exactly what torture this sibling has been doing since they were kids.
Yeah. So the overall answer is not the asshole. Couple of comments. Not the asshole. Based on your post, I can't think of a single reason why you should attend. However, I guarantee a variation of the "but she's your sister" card will be played. This is a manipulation used when another family member who knows the other person is in the wrong and is unable to justify their actions. OP responded by saying, exactly. So far, it's mostly been, you should attend out of decency and to keep the family peace, but why? She hasn't been the slightest bit decent to me, so why should I?
You shouldn't keep the family peace if they're not willing to keep the family peace.
Another comment, another couple of comments. If your sister wants family peace, she can talk to you and invite you. Someone responded, exactly this. I really feel for OP. I was OP, so I guess this happened to somebody else. Everyone asked me to attend and tried those BS manipulation tactics. I just said, well, if he apologizes to me, then I'll go. Well, guess what never happened? I didn't go. Surprise, surprise. And I will forever hold my grudge. Thank you very much. Just because we're family, we're really not, though.
That's like my younger brother's wedding. I didn't go to his because he refused to apologize to me about the way things were when I was pregnant with our daughter.
Yep. And then one last one. Family is not a ticket to treat people like crap without consequences. Not the asshole. OP, you are 100% justified not going unless you get a direct invite and apology and you are satisfied with this. You'll definitely get pressure from other family members.
100% agree.
You'll definitely get pressure from other family members, but you have to take care of you first. I agree 100% with that. And it's just like,
yeah.
Oh, man.
Like I said, no matter who it is, you have the right to cut a toxic person out of your life, even if they are family, especially if they are family. Because family has a way of twisting things and getting deeper and deeper into your psyche. And sometimes people's mental health can't handle that. And they snap and they go one way or the other.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not that they want to, it's the fact that they didn't have the strength to stand up for themselves and walk away from the toxicity.
Yeah.
Kind of dealing with something like that right now.
All right. So then there is, am I the asshole for calling my stepsister a jealous bitch after she accused me of being a gold digger? Oh, boy.
This is going to be a fun one to unpack. Get your shovels, guys.
All right, so my husband, 40 male, is a doctor, and I, 29 male, don't work. I got married and had my kids, 6 female, 4 male, 2 female, so 3 kids. Soon after graduating from college, so I've never had a real job.
Wait, hold on, pause for a second. Did you say they're both males?
No, one a 40-year-old male and a 29-year-old female.
Okay, my brain just went, ooh, gay. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was planning on working for a couple of years and had a few job offers, but my daughter happened sooner than we had planned, so I decided to just stay home. While it is quite nice that I can afford to stay home, money was definitely not the main reason why I married my husband. I love him because of his personality. My stepsister, 30 female, has 3 children, a 7-year-old female, a 6-year-old male, and a 1-year-old male. I babysit them fairly often. A few days ago, my parents had a barbecue at their house. My 5th anniversary was a few weeks ago, and my husband got me a diamond eternity band and a tennis bracelet. I was showing those to my mom when my stepfather and stepsister walked over. My stepdad asked my stepsister when she's getting a ring. She gave me a dirty look and said, not everyone can afford to waste thousands of dollars on a shiny rock. I tried to be the bigger person and told my stepdad that she doesn't need a ring and it's obvious her boyfriend loves her a lot, whether she has one or not. She told me fuck off with my fake sympathy. I asked her if she woke up on the wrong side of the bed today, and she said, some people actually have things to worry about. A useless gold digger who's never worked a day in her life wouldn't understand. I was quite offended, but I don't like confrontation, so I just smiled and told her to tell me if she needs help with anything. She said she doesn't need my charity and accused me of trying to make her and her family feel bad by flaunting my expensive jewelry. I reminded her that she chose to walk over and join our conversation. She said it's hard to feel happy when she and her boyfriend still rent a house and can't afford special stuff for themselves and their kids while working long hours. I was done with her BS, so I basically told her that's their problem and there's nothing I can do about it. She said her kids feel awful when they see all the nice things my kids have, and her daughter really wanted to be a ballerina and do gymnastics, but she can't afford it, so she has to watch her cousin do everything she dreamed of doing. I told her stop being a jealous bitch and said that if she doesn't want her kids to be jealous, then I won't babysit them anymore. She called me insensitive and said I've always been given everything I want and I'm spoiled. I didn't want to engage with her anymore, so I left to talk to my sister-in-law. My stepsister left to barbecue immediately after that and is still mad at me. My mother thinks I should apologize to keep the peace. Am I the asshole? Edit. I realize my post isn't very clear on everything. My sister and her boyfriend aren't married or engaged and have been together for 4 years. They don't have degrees and work low-wage jobs, and we live in California, so everything is insanely expensive. My stepdad was asking when they're getting engaged. My husband and I have technically been married for 7 years, mostly because I was pregnant, but our wedding was 5 years ago. I don't watch all of her kids all day. They're at daycare until 4. Her boyfriend's mom picks them up, keeps the youngest, and drops the older ones at my house. My sister picks them up around 6:30. Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
So here's the first problem with that.
Oh, man.
If you don't like having to bust your ass and work for everything you have, maybe you should move to a less expensive state.
Number
for
one.
For two, you're calling her a gold digger, and you're all but saying that she's
Useless.
a selfish bitch because she's not spoiling your kids like she spoils hers. No. She has already stated that if you need help with something, ask, and she should be able to help because they can afford it. What if you were to open your lips instead of talking shit, ask her, hey, would you mind paying for ballet or whatever for my daughter because she really wants to do it, and right now it's not affordable, but I really want her to
Well, even with that being said,
enjoy
I mean, there are places in different states that they work with low-income families who they want to put their children.
They have scholarship programs.
They have scholarship programs. They have some people who, they work with low-income families to be able to allow children to do gymnastics or do dance classes or do sports, stuff like that. So that in itself, it sounds to me like the stepsister is jealous because her and her boyfriend aren't as successful. She's jealous of the success.
And that's
Add
the
into
thing.
the fact that OP has went to college and does have a college degree, but before she could go out and find a career, she ended up pregnant.
Yeah.
So
life happens.
That in itself isn't sorry. That in itself is like this shit happens.
Yeah, life happens.
And it's not even that she didn't want to do it. She already had plans to do so.
Yeah.
And then found out that she was pregnant.
And not only that, the fact that she even stated that she still wanted to work after she had kids, but it was just
her husband makes enough money
that it's more affordable.
They didn't need.
And if any of y'all have looked into daycare prices, or if you haven't, look into them in your area, how much daycare actually costs. Because I know out here, for an infant, anywhere from 8, because they don't take them before 8 weeks, which is fine. 8 weeks to 12 years old, or 8 weeks to school age, however it works now, is like $914 a month.
Yeah, like
and
that's
for
expensive.
and for somebody that can't, for somebody that can afford it, it might not be so bad, but then that would put a little more strain, and maybe they might not be able to afford as much.
Yeah.
That's why OP decided to stay home. like with
Well,
the other couple.
I don't think it's even that. I think when she was pregnant, or when she found out that she was pregnant, her and her husband, granted boyfriend at the time, her and her husband probably had a conversation.
Yeah.
And the conversation went something to the effect of, I'm pregnant, I still want to work. And the husband's like,
you don't have to.
You don't have to. Just stay home.
Yeah.
You know, take care of the kid. Take care of yourself. I'm a doctor, so I can monitor you and, you know, all that.
Yeah.
And then just stay home. I got everything that we need.
Everything is covered. And see, and that's nice. But at the same time, like nowadays, even here in Colorado, it's hard for one income to support a whole house. It's doable with some gray hair and some pulling of those hairs, but like it's doable. But at the same time, you want to be able to be comfortable. You want to be able to do things with your family. You want to be able to like have the extra stuff. And whereas right now we still are at that point. Like you and I are still at that point.
Yeah.
Where one of us is working, and it's happened several times over the last almost a decade.
Yeah.
Where one or the other of us wasn't working at the time, or we struggled for a few months and then both of us are working, and then whatever the case may be. Right now, we work in a job where, yeah, it would be great if you had if you were working, but right now with the money that I make, we are perfectly fine. I have 99% of everything covered. Granted, a couple of credit card bills are a little lower on that list, but we have a roof over our head. We have food in our bellies. We have electricity for now. Speaking of which, I got to pay that. You know,
we have the things that we need taken care
we
of.
have the necessities covered.
And you know, with her husband being a doctor, doctors bring in a lot of money.
Not as much as people might
Depends
think.
on how successful he is. He's 40 years old.
Depends on his specialty too.
He's 40.
Yeah.
So
he's my age.
Let's say he's been like a doctor for, how long does it normally take?
8 years.
Okay, so we'll assume that he started college right
18.
after he got out of high
So
school.
26, he graduated college.
Yeah. So he's been doing this now for 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
He's got some money.
Oh yeah.
He's got a nice little nest egg. So
hopefully he had scholarships to medical school because that's expensive.
And then the fact that she has a degree, like if he was to suddenly not have work, or find out, oh hey, I'm not going to be able to work, or he's
something
like,
devastating
hey,
happens.
I'm going to retire here. She has a degree where she can go ahead and get a job.
Exactly,
in that
it's a
field and be
partnership.
fine.
It's a partnership.
The fact that the stepsister, is acting this way, it's jealousy. She's jealous of her successful sister.
Like OP says, jealous bitch.
Yep. So, the response, or the official thing, is not the asshole. And comments for it. First off, being a stay-at-home mom is one of the hardest jobs in the world, and you never get time off. So I got no idea why she said you never worked a day in your life, when realistically you work the same, if not more than her. Not only that, but you defended her when your stepdad asked about her getting a ring by bringing up a completely valid point. Plus, she also can't get mad at your stepdad. Rings are usually commonplace in marriage, not saying you need one, just that most people get one. So when you don't buy a ring, most people would be curious about it. Plus, you came and defended her. It's not like you said, oh, stepfather, you know this peasant can't afford a ring. No, you brought up a completely valid point to your dad's question. And then at her calling you a gold digger and, oh,
Yeah.
I'm so poor, she sounds jealous as fuck.
Well, it's not only that. It's like, where did this come from? She was defending her.
Yeah. Another comment, not only is OP a stay-at-home mom, but she watches her stepsis kids, which I bet she does for free, and cares for their needs while doing it, feeds them, probably takes them places, etc. Stepsister is jealous. OP is not the asshole. Yeah, I will completely and totally agree with that. Not the asshole.
Yeah, definitely
in
not
the
the
slightest.
asshole.
And even like the last commenter brought up a really good point. Like, she's probably doing this for free, and just like
And you call your stepsister a gold digger?
it's like,
Take a look in the mirror, dude.
beggars can't be choosers here, yo.
Pot, this is Kettle.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned about your hue.
Jesus. All right,
Yeah.
and the last one,
Okay.
and this one, just the title is a lot to unpack.
Are we going to need a shovel? Backhoe?
Backhoe.
Backhoe.
Am I the asshole for telling my roommate that her anorexia is not my problem?
Oh, that's fucked up. That's fucked up on so many levels. But I have a feeling there's going to be more to this than the title.
So we are both 23 females. It's been getting into the 90 degrees Fahrenheit where we live. So I've been turning on the AC when I get home. I also work a physically intense outdoor job. So I come home really sweaty and exhausted from the heat. The apartment will stay cool enough for me to fall asleep later, but then later on I'll wake up in the middle of the night completely drenched in sweat. I'll then get up and find out that my roommate has
like
been
us.
switching the AC off while I'm sleeping. This really upsets me because it's been making me really dehydrated and tired to begin with from not sleeping well, and has been impacting my work. She's unemployed right now, so I thought she might have been hung up about the power bill. When I finally talked to her about it, I explained that I'm already very sensitive to heat to begin with, and that we're fortunate enough to have AC. I want to enjoy it when I get home, especially after a long day at work, and that the heat is causing problems for me. I even offered to foot some of her share because of the power bill if she was really that concerned about it. But then she said that she turns it off because the apartment gets too cold. I should add that our AC is set at 70 and has never been moved lower than that.
That's still too hot.
I told her that she should just use some blankets or put a sweater on if it was really bothering her because the heat is unbearable. She then countered by saying that because she's in recovery from anorexia, she's really sensitive to cold and that I'm not prioritizing her needs. I then responded by saying, I'm sympathetic to your situation, but that is your problem and not mine, and it is starting to have a negative impact on me, and we need to find some middle ground here because I can't take off my skin when it gets too hot. She then got extremely upset and angry and told me I was being ableist and insensitive. I am kind of bothered by this because I've also had struggles with eating disorders in my past, so am I the asshole here? Additional info from a comment I made so it doesn't get buried. I see a lot of people making the assumption that I'm completely unwilling to compromise with her or that I'm set on having it at 70. During our talk, I offered to adjust the temperature, but she wants it completely off, not adjusted, off all the way, and that was what made her angry.
See, and here's my starting opinion on this. I'm going to say right off the bat, not the asshole. Because, yes, she is not, the friend is not, or the roommate is not being sensitive to the anorexia. They have had struggles with... No, let me finish.
The recovering from anorexia.
I know, let me finish though. They're not being sensitive or whatever the case may be. But, at the same time, the person who is recovering from anorexia is not working, and the one person who is working is really sensitive to the heat, and they don't want to end up sick because they are suffering from heat exhaustion or heat stroke or whatever. That's the thing. That's the key here. This person is the only one working. You can't take off your skin if you're too hot. There's only so many layers you can take off before it becomes indecent exposure or you're cutting parts of your body off.
Yeah.
You can always put blankets and stuff on. And that's where the whole turn point of this is. You can put things on, you're just choosing not to. You're choosing to prioritize your own comfort over the comfort of your roommate, Whereas I know it sounds kind of ass backwards from what it should be, where she should be sensitive to her friend's needs because her friend is recovering. No, you got that backwards. Her friend is in recovery. Yes, admirable. Going through something like that is huge. Anorexia, bulimia, all that stuff is really difficult to get through. I can sympathize with that. But at the same time, your roommate is the only one working, for one. For two, they're the ones that are paying the bills, and they're willing to cover your share of the electric bill because it's been so god-awful hot. For three, you can put on blankets or sweaters. You're just choosing not to. You're choosing to be an asshole in this situation. You're choosing to be that person that's like, well, I understand that you're working and that the heat is unbearable, but it gets too cold in here, and my opinion is the only one that matters. That's the thing that it sounds like to me, is the roommate that's in recovery is acting like that they're the only person in that situation that matters.
And I'll agree with you. I mean, to an extent, I'll agree with you. So, like, we've had a discussion where you sleep during the day, and I'm up because you work at night. You work overnights. And in order for you to sleep comfortably, we have a AC unit in our room where it vents out to the window, or through the window, where you sleep more comfortably when it's cooler, and you start overheating whenever it's turned off. And when when you started working this job,
sleeping during the day is
I would
a bitch.
turn it off during the day, and then you wake up and turn it back on, and we had several conversations about it. And then I was like, well, wait, I'm just an idiot. So I went out, I grabbed my hoodie. I have a big hoodie that I typically wear during the winter. That's my winter jacket.
Yeah.
It's fluffy on the inside. It's one of those Dickies ones, and they're fantastic. But like while you're asleep, I'll have my hoodie on and just be chilling.
Yeah.
And, when I get warm, I pop my hood down. And when I get cold, I put my hood back up. Or if it gets too bad and I get too warm, I take my hoodie off for a bit, and then I put it back on when I start getting cooled off again. So she, in that instance, the roommate is an asshole because instead of doing something simple, especially knowing with how hot it's been here recently, that it's fucking hot. And, you need to get cooled off when you get home, so that way you can sleep and you can recover somewhat from being outside in, hell.
Yeah.
Being able to cool off like that is fantastic. On the other hand, I think OP is a bit of an asshole too.
Yeah.
Because, one, going ahead and saying, oh, it's not my problem, me needing the AC on is not my problem just because you're recovering from anorexia. One, that's fucked up. You don't throw somebody's dirty laundry back at them.
Yeah.
Like that never helps.
That part's fucked up.
That can send somebody spiraling back into the state of mind that they were in.
Yeah.
And then you're rinsing and repeating. Number two, there are units that you can purchase from like Home Depot or Lowe's or online or something to that extent.
Like we have.
Where you can have just your room cooled off. And when you get home and you get a shower, so that way you can wash all the sweat off, you can go back into your room. You have your door shut. You have this thing set up in your room, venting out through your window. And you have a nice, cool room that only your room is cool. And I'll agree with you. 70 degrees, it's still a little bit too warm. Now, granted, there have been times where 70 feels fantastic.
Yeah.
But our unit is like here
61.
Recently, well, it was set at 61. I recently bumped it up to 69. Nice.
No. I keep turning it down.
Well, no, that's what it says on the remote. Like when I use the remote to turn it on.
Yeah.
But I have it, it's set for like 69, 68-ish, which is normally what we would have the house set for.
Yeah.
And that's a reasonable temperature. But
and
there
still
are
been
times,
god awful hot.
There are times where it gets real fucking hot. So like setting it lower does help. That's why you have this your own AC unit in your room, so that way you can keep yourself cool.
Yep.
My session,
Yes.
I don't know if that's the actual word. My ruling on this is both are the assholes. Everyone's shit here.
Yep. And I can see that.
What is yours?
See, at first I was saying that the OP was not the asshole. But
Yeah.
I can see your point. Both of them are kind of being the asshole because neither one of them are thinking of anybody but themselves.
So, overall, Reddit ruling is not the asshole. And here's a couple of comments for it. Not the asshole. First, she's attempting to use her condition as a trump card to win an unrelated argument. That's an asshole move. Second, she's choosing to ignore the fact that her discomfort has an easy solution. Too cold? Wear a sweater. Whereas yours doesn't. Not sure what you could do other than turn the AC on if you can't sleep because it's too hot. That's an asshole move. Another person said, not the asshole. She should be able to close the vent in her room. If it doesn't close, she can block it. They sell magnetic things that go right over it, or she could even just use a piece of cardboard, making sure to remove it before the heating season. And if that's not good enough, she can definitely use another blanket and or sweatshirt or get a space heater. OP has offered to pay the extra utilities, so she really doesn't have any valid reason against it. I'm sorry about her eating disorder, but in this instance, she is using it to be self-centered. ETA, the space heater would be a last resort, and I'm assuming the thermostat is not in her bedroom. She could just close her bedroom door and use it, or close the door and open her window.
Yeah.
Yes, I will say, I agree with that to an extent. Using a space heater, like we've had a roommate before where she was cold constantly, and she didn't have any sort of, eating disorder. She just had really, really, really bad circulation.
Yeah.
And like in her space, she would have a heater. In our spaces, in like my space, I would have a fan. And even when you were, like when we first got together, you had to have heat. Like you were constantly cold.
Because I was super skinny and I wasn't anorexic.
You weren't like your body was just like, nah, I'm not dealing with this.
Yeah.
So like, but you didn't force everyone to be around or to have to be
miserable
because you were cold.
Yep.
So like, yeah, those are definitely good things, to do, that she could make sure that she was able to stay warm and all that. But I'm still gonna hold on to my own ruling that both are assholes. There's a failure in communication here. Like,
yeah,
people,
majorly.
They are both expressing their points and their opinions and their sides, and
not listening to the other one.
Yeah, neither one is willing to listen.
Yeah.
To the other one, and that is the major. That is
an issue. Period.
Yeah, that is the major flaw.
Communication sucks in that place.
You are not kidding. Like, if they could just sit down and be like, "Look, here's your side, here's my side. What can we do to compromise to make both of us happy?"
To make things easier, not even make people happy. It's about
make things easier, make living together easier. That's something. Or if they're not able to do it, then okay, well, when this lease is up, then we're going to go our separate ways, and we'll find our own place, or move in with somebody else that is similar. So, all that. But in the meantime, like, look, there's only so much you can take off, like you said, and thank you for stealing my line. There's only so much you can take off before you get arrested for indecent exposure.
Yeah.
When you get home from work, taking a warm shower, not a hot shower, take a warm shower will actually force your body to cool off.
It's like people that drink hot coffee in hot weather.
Start by taking a warm shower. So that way you can get clean, you can get all the stuff off, and then as you're in there, just slowly start turning the temperature down till it gets to nice and cool. Not cold, but cool. And then that makes a world of difference. Like, I've done that for years. You actually started doing that
Yep.
when it,
This
after I
working
said something
overnight
to you.
horse shit.
Well, I had said something to you about it's like, you were saying, oh, I'm super hot. And I'm like, well, why don't you do this? And you started doing it, and you're like, oh, that makes a world of difference.
And man, I don't know if anybody else has ever worked an overnight job in their life, like of our listeners or you or
I worked
whatever.
an overnight job. I used to work one of the warehousing jobs I
But
had before I moved out
God,
here. I went to work, like I would get to work at like 7:30 at night, and I wouldn't leave there until like 7:30 the next morning.
yeah, and I mean it's the adjustment for working that late or sleeping during the day isn't the issue. It's the holy crap. It is so god awful hot during the day right now
Oh yeah.
that it's not even funny. Like
Yep.
I cannot stand it. Like you had just turned the AC off this morning, and not even 5 minutes later, I'm sitting up and I'm turning it back on.
Well, I hadn't even turned it off. You had turned it off.
Yeah, and it's just
Because
like
you were like, I'm chilly, and then like 5 minutes of it heating up, the sun heating up our room. You're like, nope, turn it back.
nope, not at all. And
the
it's
second I saw you sit up and reach for it, I went ahead and I grabbed my hoodie and I put my hoodie on, and I was good.
and that's the thing is like some sort of compromise has to happen in that place because otherwise y'all are gonna be miserable.
Yeah, there's a running theme, I think, between all four of the stories that we read today, and that is there is a serious lack of communication.
Yeah.
Between of the four stories that we read, who do you think's the biggest asshole? Let's do that. Which one do you think is the biggest asshole?
The sister.
Which one?
The stepsister gold digger.
Oh, the gold digger one?
Yeah.
My vote is the biggest asshole is the second story we read.
I think.
The sister
I'm not
who
quite
got
awake yet.
uninvited from the wedding.
Yeah, that one. That's the one
to
I was
me,
talking about.
She is the biggest asshole of
Yeah.
This last one, however, very close second.
Yeah, because everybody in that situation's an asshole. None of y'all are winners on
Like,
that one.
They need to talk more.
Yeah.
And they need to have that communication and come to an actual compromise, and not just a
Have an actual
one-sided-
conversation, not just screaming match either.
Yeah, and they need to have a one-side. They don't need to have just a one-sided thing. Like both of them need to understand the other one. Like keep it like bump it
Keep
up to
it
like
civil.
70, bump it up to like 71. But the apartment stays at that temperature, the AC stays on, and the roommate puts on a hoodie or gets under a blanket when they're cold. Or
Yeah.
gets a space heater. I know like when I'm home, I'm typically in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt or a sleeveless shirt. Or on those days where it's really hot outside, I will just take my shirt off and be walking around here with just a pair of shorts on.
Yeah.
And most people, like when they're at home, they're in comfortable clothes. People, when they get up in the morning and they're just hanging out at the house, they're not getting all dressed up in like jeans and a t-shirt and a pair of shoes, or, socks and shoes or whatnot.
Some people.
Most people are like, hey, I'm going to be in a t-shirt. I'm going to be in a spaghetti strap shirt. I'm going to be in a tank top. I'm going to be in a cami and a pair of shorts or, a pair of leggings or, yoga pants or whatever.
Yeah.
They won't get gussied up.
Yeah.
If the roommate is that cold, try putting on some actual clothes.
Yeah.
Like we've stated, you can put more on.
You can't take more off.
But yeah. So I think we're gonna call it there. Thank y'all for listening. We really do appreciate it.
We do.
If you like the episode and you're listening to us on Spotify, hit the download.
Always helps
button.
us out.
It does help us out. It lets Spotify know, hey, we like what we're hearing and we want to hear more.
You don't have to.
You don't have to. If you feel like you want to donate, there is the donate button in the description. If you don't feel like you want to donate, that's fine too. We don't require it. It helps us be able to put on these shows for you. We're gonna do it regardless, whether or not.
Yeah.
But thank y'all for listening. We really do appreciate it. As always, remember,
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. Don't forget to love each other. Have an open line of communication. I am going to toss that in there just for this episode here.
And,
and
yeah, don't think that you're the only person on the planet.
yeah. Have a great day, guys. Bye.
Have fun.